Hey guys, it's Marissa, and today's video is going to be a period story. Man, oh man, I have told a few of these in my day, but I just realized I don't think I've ever told this one on camera before, and it's a pretty good one. I guess you could call it like funny horror story. I don't know what you would call it, but it's definitely one that I remember. Oh yeah, and I always get more, obviously, requests for period videos, so I will link the period playlist below for you guys to check out. And then let's get on with the period video. So this happened about a year after I graduated high school, and I would go to Six Flags Magic Mountain a lot because I had a season pass, so it was just something I did like at least once a month, if not more. And I would go sometimes with like groups of people, sometimes with just one person, but on this particular day I went with a group of people, and there was like, I want to say like around 6 people, 3 boys, 3 girls, I think, and we're all just, you know, hanging out at Six Flags. I remember we were doing like so many of the big rides. We went on Goliath, we went on Lex Luthor Drop of Doom, we went on like all of the big crazy rides that just like whoosh, shake you and, you know, do all that crazy stuff. And I remember I went to the bathroom, and I remember it was a really hot day. So like when it's a really hot day, you're kind of sweating everywhere. You know what I'm saying? You're sweating up top, you're sweating like in your pants. Like, I know that might sound gross, but it's true. Like you sweat everywhere. If you've been to a theme park, you know what I'm talking about. Like nowadays, I always bring underwear changes when I go to theme parks. I don't care if that sounds gross, it's just true. But back in the day, I didn't. But anyway, so I go to the bathroom, you know, we've been hanging out, we've had lunch, we've done this, done that. I go to the bathroom and it's like a murder scene in there. It's like blood everywhere, and not just like a little blood, like a lot of blood. Like a lot of blood. Like I feel like going on the rides too like aggravated in it, because it's like you're sitting in that seat, you're crammed in that seat, you're going up and down, you're like doing all these things. It really just like mushes it in there. I don't know if that makes sense. It makes sense to me. But anyway, so it was so bloody. And so I was just thinking like, oh my God, I need a pad or a tampon. And none of the other girls in my group had brought pads or tampons, because they were just like, oh, we're not on our period, so we didn't bring any. Because obviously when you go to a theme park, you don't want to like pack too much stuff. And I feel like a theme park is honestly one of the worst places to ever get your period, because you just feel so gross. Like my first instinct when I get my period is like, oh, okay, take the underwear off, take a shower, get a fresh pad, like, you know, take care of yourself, do the whole hygiene routine. But when you're at a theme park and you have no pads, no tampons, no access to a shower, no fresh undies, it's like you really can't do any of that stuff. You just have to kind of like make it work. So I was just on a hunt for like pads or tampons, like preferably tampons, because that would have obviously been better, but pads, tampons, whatever. And I remember going into like 4 different bathrooms. Like I remember I told the girls, and then eventually I did have to tell the guys, and I felt kind of embarrassed, but I was kind of just like, look, got my period, need provisions. And they understood, like nobody was mad or anything, especially because we'd already done so many rides. So it wasn't like when you first get to a theme park and you just want to go. It was like we were already kind of like, we'd already done a few things. But I do feel like this put kind of a damper in our day, because I was like, okay, instead of picking a new ride, we're going to have a fun little adventure finding me pads or tampons. So I remember I went to like all the different bathrooms all across the park, and none of the pad tampon machines worked. Like they were all just like there. And I don't know about you guys, but I find that so many bathrooms nowadays, they have those machines, but they're empty, or they don't work, or there's nothing in them. And I'm like, what the hell? Like it used to be like you put a quarter in, you know, a tampon comes out, but now they don't have any of those. So I remember like awkwardly walking into a store, and there was like a teenage boy in it, and I remember being like, do you guys have pads or tampons? Like having to ask this little like zit-faced teenager if they had pads or tampons. And I remember him being like, the only place in the park that sells those products is like, and it was like on the furthest side, and I remember I had so much trouble finding it. Like I remember I went to like a bunch of wrong stores because they have so many like little like booths and stores and stuff at Six Flags. So I remember eventually we found it and I was just so excited, so thankful. I was like, yes, gonna get me some period products. And I remember being like, do you guys have any tampons? And she was like, no, we don't have any tampons. We have pads. And so I remember being like, okay, I'll buy the pads. Give me the pads. And the only pads they had was a 10-pack, and they were these like short, stubby, fat pads that had no wings. It was like, I don't even know, it was like the most non-name brand pads you would ever find. It's like the cheap like dollar store kind that like don't even, they're like period free or whatever, like they have like those weird names. And it was like, I remember just being like, no wings, okay, I'll take it. Cause I remember just trying to like ask like, do you guys have anything else? And they had like, I think 1 or 2 like little packs of this like 10-pack of pads. And I was just like, okay, I'll take it, sold. And I remember this like 10-pack of pads was literally like $8. Like it was so expensive, but what other choice did I have other than just like continue bleeding through my undies and having it like bleed through my freaking jeans or whatever and like be really gross and noticeable. So it was like I was forced to, basically. So I bought the pads, I went to the bathroom and I was like, oh my god, it literally felt like I was wearing a diaper. It was so bad. But it was better than nothing. So in the end, I was grateful to just find anything, but I guess the lesson of this story would be Six Flags, you need to sell more pads and tampons. You need to make them more easily accessible. I don't even know what other lesson there is than that. I feel like even Disneyland I would be able to find pads and tampons more, or like Universal Studios. I don't know, but I just feel like Six Flags was not the place. It was not the vibe to get my period.
Did you use the rest of the pads in the pack? Or what
I think I did. So I think I did end up eventually using the like thick brick pads, but it just took me a really long time. Like I remember it would be like, I would use them when I felt like I was winding down on my good pads and I was like, oh, let me just like waste another one of these suckers, because I paid so much money for them. Like it was like almost $1 a pad. So it was like, I don't want to waste it. Like I don't want to waste these really expensive, useless pads. But I remember thinking like, this is literally the worst kind of pad you could sell. It's like a big, thick diaper. It's not even like, it's not wide, so it doesn't even like cover the sides of your underwear. It's literally just like the, you know, just the bare minimum. It was like that thick, but it was like really thick. It was like that wide, but really super thick. No wings. I remember thinking, how are you gonna have pads you be selling with no wings? Because you're on these crazy rides, you're chafing around down there, you're sweating. Like I feel like whoever thought to put pads and tampons in the gift shops was probably a girl, but the guys were like, let's just buy the cheapest dollar store kind, and the desperate girls can spend like $10 on them. And also, why y'all not have tampons? Okay, this has become just a rant video about Six Flags, but yeah, so I guess the lesson of the story is try and know when your period is, and always bring a pad, or preferably more than one, pads or tampons to an amusement park, even if you know you're not gonna get your period, because you could have someone in your group that gets their period and you could be that hero. And I've been that hero where I give somebody a tampon and it feels kind of good to be that hero where they're just like, thank you, and you're like, no prob, girl, I got you. I I know how it is. So it's just always bring a pad or a tampon, like at least one, but I always like to bring like 2 or 3 just in case, but that's the lesson of the story. Even if you don't think you're gonna get it, even if you're not supposed to get it for another week, like bring it. So that was my period. I would call it a horror story. I hope you guys liked it. Comment below if anything like this has ever happened to you. Like, what is the most inconvenient place you've gotten your period? Because I've really had a lot of, inconvenient places where I've gotten my period. So comment below, like, what's the worst place you've ever had your period? And I love you guys. Mwah. Big kiss and bye guys.